Let's get started with our paper quilling bootcamp. You can see that I'm just working with plain white glue. In this case, it is Elmer's Glue All or Elmer's School Glue. And I have a little slip of paper and I'm putting just a little to the side so I can dip in. I also have my paper quilling tool, and I also have a little wooden stick that I use to help apply the glue so that I don't get the glue all over my fingers. This is my first quilling strip of paper, and you can see that I took one entire length of strip and I cut it in half. Then I'll take my quilling tool, place the quilling paper into the slotted end of the quilling tool, and begin to twist. For the first paper quill we're going to create, it is a tight coil, so I'm going to continue wrapping all the way, and I want to keep that quill paper wrapped pretty tightly. I'll hold it gently in my hand and wiggle that tool out so it doesn't ravel out. And then I dip into my glue and apply just a little bit of glue on the end of my quill, my paper quill, and I want to hold it for a moment until that glue sets up. Once I believe the glue is set up, I'll dip it into my puddle of glue and I'll put it down on my paper and press it flat, because all of the tops of your quills should be at the same level or the same height on your paper. And so as I zoom in, you can kind of see, and it looks like my quill was unrolling just a little bit there. So I may squeeze that a little bit more. For the loose coil, it is done exactly the same way, rolling up tightly, with one difference. Once I get to the end here, gently pull the tool out, wiggle it, and you're not going to glue it yet. You'll gently let it loosen in your hand. Now, professional artists who work with paper quilling regularly can use tools that have templates where you can put your quill inside of it and let it unravel, and you can control how large of a diameter your coil can become. But for purposes of our boot camp, we can just let it loosen up in our hand. And at this point, the loose coil really forms the foundation of almost every additional quill we make. And with each one I make here, you'll see that I will always start for our boot camp with a long strip of quill paper, cutting it in half for the boot camp. When you're working on a project, you can use any length of strip of quilling paper that is appropriate to the project. It could be really short, or it could be really, really long, just depending on the effect you're trying to achieve or how much space you're trying to cover in your composition. So I'm just going to go ahead and let the video play out without voicing over what I'm doing here. This video was recorded during class when students were working, so it is in real time, and you can feel free to fast forward, pause, rewind as you see fit. Later on, down farther on the worksheet, you'll see I make an error at the bottom on one of the quills, and then I go back and fix it. I think I was having a conversation with a student at the time, which just goes to show it is tough to multitask sometimes and still keep your attention on what you're supposed to be keeping it on. And I apologize, I probably should have chosen a paper quill color other than purple, because the purple is hard to see on the worksheet, how it is unraveling. You really don't capture the positive and negative space and how the paper, how the shadows and the highlights play off of it, because it is so dark and the lighting for my video is just not the best. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and let it play. Enjoy quilling. And I will point out also, the paper quilling paper that I use in this video just came from Amazon. It's relatively inexpensive. And also, as you're working with the quilling paper, the thinner paper is more difficult to use than wider paper. I am using, um, I'm not sure how many millimeters wide this is, but again, if you use wider, it is easier to hold, easier to handle, maintain shape. When there's more to hold, the skinnier it is, the harder it is to work with. Enjoy quilling!